Appreciate that. Next on our announcements is there's, I don't believe Ken Wentworth is, he is not, I think he had a follow-up doctor's appointment this morning, but we're having a 501 club meeting April 22nd at Green Mill. And for this one, they are asking for us to sign up. I think he reserved 3 tables of 6. So,
yep.
So
register on Sign Up Genius.
Sign Up Genius, and Kathy, if she hasn't, she probably will.
Yep, it's already sent out.
You already have it in your email box. So I think, unless there's any other announcements that I missed, we will go on to our classification this morning is with Dan Perez. Please welcome Dan. Newer member, by the way.
Good morning. For my understanding, the classification is just answering the question, did your career choose you or did you choose your career? And so before I get to that question or that answer, I'll just go through my life and just give you an understanding of who I am and my background.
Got it.
Nope. Okay, the early years. So, born in St. Paul. So I always consider myself a St. Paulite, even though I've been living in the suburbs for about the last 15 years. Every time I go to St. Paul and I see the St. Paul sign or I see the St. Paul skylight, you know, it always a smile comes to my face. I'm the youngest of 6. A lot of you guys know my older brother Paul. He was the one who got me into Rotary. Wanted to point out that I actually live near downtown, and that's a wonderful opportunity for a youth as myself. I love to read, so I actually found myself walking down to the St. Paul Library and checking out books and reading books. Something you wouldn't fathom today, you know, like a 10-year-old, you know, walking down there, you know, because it was about a mile away, but also having the opportunity of having the science museum. So again, you know, making the best of the situation of being that close to the downtown area. And of course, the Taste of Minnesota, I'm sure a lot of you guys remember those events, and being able to see the fireworks just from our backyard, you know, was just spectacular. Went to Franklin Magnet Elementary School. School's no longer around, but it was a magnet school because it was a music school. And then also had like a gifted and talent program. So it was called Bravo. So those students who were excelling in math or English grouped together, or if you're doing really well, you'd actually be with the kids in the next class up. The music section was really interesting that everyone had a music class, I think for the first 4 years. So every student had to sing, had to learn instruments like the xylophone and the recorder and play the keyboard. And those who did well were able to join on a tour. So we actually had an orchestra and I played violin. I actually was on the tour for the choir and the keyboard as well. So we'd go out to different elementary schools and perform, and we had a couple of public events. So again, that was a wonderful opportunity for, you know, again, for a youth. Then for junior high, it was a 2-year school. That was on the east side of St. Paul. And that's where I had gotten into organized sports, cross country and wrestling specifically. Cross country more so just because I excelled in that from elementary school on, as well as my sister was a member of the Johnson High School cross country team. Wrestling, all my brothers were wrestlers, so I'm sure you've probably heard Paul tell you a story or so about his wrestling experiences, but he was really a key person that got me into wrestling. Then my family had moved to the east side of St. Paul, and that was wonderful as well because then I was walking distance within school. To Cleveland, I was taking a bus each day. So at Johnson High School, I also started continuing on with cross country and wrestling and track and field. And senior year, I was the tri-captain of those sports. And we had many opportunities as the different teams to compete, the different regional and conference meets, and then we actually did quite well. So it was fun to be a partnership and involved with that. The college years. So I went to the University of Minnesota. I was actually given a full academic scholarship. I initially enrolled in the chemical engineering department. After 2 years, I ended up switching to a partner program called the material science department. And that, as it's posted there, was the study of the microscopic and macroscopic properties of materials. And the ones that we focused on were ceramics, plastics, and metals. And my involvement there was just more academic. I did try out for the wrestling team, but I had to give it up because it was interfering with my academics. And but it was still fun, to go see the different sporting events, watching the Minnesota Gophers in the Metrodome, or being a season ticket holder with the men's basketball team and such. And fortunately, most of my closest friends ended up going to the University of Minnesota as well. So that was great to have that experience with them. My first career out of college was at a small company, Multi-Arc. It's now called Iron Bond. It's actually located in White Bear Lake Township. And for those who might have these in your toolbox, or you might see it at Home Depot or Menards, what we did was we provide coatings onto tools to extend the life of the tools. So the gold that you see on the tools is usually titanium nitride. And so again, if you have a sharp cutting surface, you put that coating on, that's going to extend the tool life of that tool. And some of the more interesting projects that I worked on at that company, where we had like the large Toro guys for their lawnmowers. So that would come in, we would take the remaining coating off, polish it, and put a new coating layer on, and that would get it through the next season. Or else we put coating on some of the coating blades for Pioneer Press that they used for cutting their newspapers. And we also did some decorative application. So most of the nameplates you see around on cars have chrome plating, but there was a couple of years where people wanted to separate themselves and have gold plating or different colored platings. And some of the decorations that we do is actually for slot machines and like push bars, believe it or not, again, it's companies that wanted to differentiate from just having like a chrome or looking appearance. And that company, again, was a small company that gave me an opportunity to wear many hats. So again, right out of college, I was their process engineer. And within a year, my mentor had left the company for greener pastures. And then the plant manager also retired the second year. And so I absorbed a lot of the responsibilities at a young age. And it really gave me an opportunity to get into like a higher level of quality. So I did get certified for ISO 9001 as an auditor. And I actually did take our department and 2 other centers through the whole ISO 9001 implementation. So I'm not sure if anyone here has a company or knows about ISO 9001, but it was a challenge that I took. I think I was like 26 years old when I did that. And so to get 3 companies certified, within 2 years, I thought was quite a good accomplishment. Second career after that was Cypress Semiconductors. So I went from this small company wearing many hats to a very large company where it was very focused. I'm not sure if anyone here has any background in semiconductors. What we had were silicon wafers that were 8 inches in diameter. And on that, you could have anywhere from like 50 to 1,000 different computer chips. And we had 25 of those in what we call a pod. And sometimes you'd have 4 to 6 of those pods running in each piece of equipment. So it was high precision and it was like high stress. You really felt like you were a cog in the machine. Like if there was a material that needed to be dispositioned or equipment went down and it was 4 o'clock on a Saturday, you were still expected to help, keep the material rolling. It was very stressful, but it was also very exciting. It's something I recommend every engineer to have at least 1 year of experience so they can see the precision, the capacity planning that they had at this company and the innovations that they were implementing. was again, very, very challenging, but very rewarding. Third career. Not sure if this is my final career, but I've been there 18 years now. So OpenR, many of you guys probably see the name on the buildings. You probably see the names on the trucks that go by making deliveries. It's a Finnish company, but it originally started out as Wurzbo. Some of you guys might be familiar with that name as well. So Wurzbo originally started out as a radiant heating company, and then they transformed more so now as a plumbing company. But we also do radiant cooling. We also do fire sprinkler systems. So OpenR is not just a niche in radiant heating anymore. And we really were the ones who introduced radiant heating into the United States market back in the 90s. A couple of milestones. Wurzbo, now OpenR, has been manufacturing in Apple Valley for 30 years. OpenR itself, 2 years ago, celebrated our 100th anniversary. And for those who know anything about the origins of Wurzbo, that company actually started back in 1620, making forgery of steel and weapons for the King of Sweden. So if that company would have stayed around, that would have celebrated its 400th anniversary. So, and one of the reasons I actually chose OpenR back in the day is semiconductor industry is a very fickle, very up and down industry. 2 years of success, 2 years of lows. And so when I was looking for another company, when I had seen that, OpenR had ties back to 1620, I thought, oh, this one actually has some staying power. And so it did give me some comfort knowing that. As you can see, there's about 3,700 people employed at OpenR. About 1,000 of those are in the United States and Canada, making up the OpenR North America region. And of those 1,000, over 800 are just in the Apple Valley and Lakeville area. So at one point, we were the largest employer in Apple Valley, if not number one, I know we're number two. When I started at the company, there was only 150 employees. So a big difference in how things progressed. As you see there, we do also have a new Hutchinson manufacturing facility. And that one, there's about 75 people staffed there. So that's like the second time that we've actually opened up another manufacturing plant. So this is probably what a lot of people think about when they think about OpenR. It's called the PEX-A tubing. It's a cross-linked polyethylene tubing. So here's an example of what, I'm not sure if people can see it. This is an example of a 3-inch diameter tubing. So we manufacture from 3/8 inch up to 4 inches. But that's not the only thing we manufacture. We manufacture a corrugated called pre-sleeved tubing. We have pre-insulated tubing. We have a product that we call EcoFlex, which again is insulated tubing. We have different color of tubing for different applications. So you probably see the breadth. We have red, blue, purple, and white, again, for different applications. They have different coatings on it. And then we make these PEX rings. And so that's instrumental in how the tubing actually matches up with the fittings. And where are these products installed? So here's a couple examples here. Like on the right there, that's actually a platform for the the North Railroad light rail. And on the left there, just shows some other examples of where it's just heated floors into a basement or a fire sprinkler system or just general plumbing.
There's a famous church in Lakeville that has it as well.
Where's that located?
Near Cedar. Yeah, near Cedar.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize the name OpenR, right? They might see it, but it's really product that's under the floor. It's in the mechanical room. It's behind the wall. But like the Twin Cities practice field, they have our product both in the field as turf milk and as well as in their buildings, for the plumbing and heating. Turf milk is also something that's in Lambeau Field, Soldier Field. There's a number of professional and college fields that have it, as well as over in Europe, a lot of soccer fields have our product in it to prevent ice and snow buildup. As far as like local stadiums and such, so US Bank actually has our product in, and it uniquely is in the roof. So everyone probably remembers the collapse of the Metrodome, right? So our product is installed there so that they don't have any snow or ice buildup on the roof of the US Bank Stadium. For Target Field, it's really interesting how our product is in there. We actually have on the players' benches, so that we are actually heating up the benches for the players. So it's, you know, there's many different applications of it. Again, we started out as a radiant heating company for in-floor heating, but it's really have grown into a different number of applications. One of the things I just wanted to show here is an example of, so this is like the EcoFlex. And so when you see this, there's actually a lot of responsibilities that OpenR has to do to make sure we can even get this to market. And that's kind of like one of the things I talk about in my role as supplier development. So the main roles for supplier development is supplier qualification. So we need to source those suppliers that are going to produce either provide us the raw materials for making these products, or they do contract design manufacturing to the different parts that we specify. We also do supplier onboarding training. So we train our suppliers on OpenR's requirements, whether it's a marketing requirement or it's a codes requirement. We're kind of like the police. We make sure that everything that they provide us is meeting code specifications and OpenR requirements. We do part approvals. And then of course the main roles of dispositioning anything that's not meeting specifications. And then we also work with our suppliers on continuous improvement. Initially the department was called supplier quality, but then it evolved to supplier development so that we could start bringing the quality levels up in our suppliers, having a focus on continuous improvement, Lean Six Sigma. This is a picture of one of our supplier onboarding trainings. And here's my work family. So there's 9 members in my department. Many years of experience here. We have our newest member has only been with the company 1 year. Like I said, I just celebrated my 18th year. But another colleague up there celebrated 18 years. He started just 1 month behind me. We have another up there for 17 years and another 25 years. So we have a large number of experience. And I think, you know, people always ask, you know, 18 years in, that's a long time, right? Why are you there? And what's the most common answer? Right? It's the people, right? I wouldn't go back each day if I didn't feel that I enjoyed my work and you know, felt like it was making a contribution, you know, and as well as just the people there. You know, I do see my coworkers as friends, and I've known that some of them longer than I've done many people, like I said, after 18 years. So yeah, we'll go to the next one here. And then this is my family, right? So Ben's online. I don't know if my daughter Chloe joined, but Ben's a senior at the University of Minnesota. So he's got a couple more Gophers up here studying in biology, science, and engineering or environment. And my daughter is undecided, but leaning towards either psychology or sociology. More family pictures. On the left there is my entire family, minus my oldest brother. It's actually difficult, you know, being a family of 6 and having, you know, 2 parents to actually get all 8 of us in the picture. I couldn't find one immediately. I probably would have had to search. I asked a sibling to provide one. But we are starting to have Zoom meetings now, in waiting for everyone to get vaccinated or to feel a little safer. Whoops. And there's some more family pictures. And again, you know, most of you know my brother Paul. And again, he was the one who got me introduced. And I'm definitely glad to be part of this group. I felt very welcomed, and I hope to get more and more involved. And it's not a tagline for the group, but I really think it does fit this group.
Are you open for some questions?
Yes, I'm open for questions, and I actually do have a number of parts if people want to stay after the meeting and just have any questions.
And Dan, if someone asks a question, could you repeat it?
Oh, sure.
Question so that they can hear it online. I have one. You're strictly B2B at OpenR? that correct?
What was that question?
Strictly business to business at OpenR, and you have distribution channels?
The question was, does OpenR do business to business? OpenR's marketing right now is we actually provide parts to our distributors. You don't see our product in Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's. The reason that OpenR decided to go with that distribution is that OpenR doesn't just manufacture the products. We actually provide contractor training and certification. We have a construction services business that actually does the design of the layouts for the plumbing, heating, fire sprinkler systems for both residential and commercial. So the way that we controlled the distribution was to more or less control that the warranty that we have is 25 years, but that was backed by having 100% OpenR product in that development, as well as having a certified contractor doing the installation. For longevity, our parts are actually designed to last 50 years. And so that's why we felt very comfortable putting a 25-year warranty on it. There are actually houses in the United States that have our product that's been installed for over 30 years. And so, yeah, we have another question.
Dan, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you explain what you're going to be contributing to the silent auction? Because that's a fascinating.
Oh. Yeah, so there was a question, is like, what is one of the items that OpenR is donating towards the auction? So it's 5 years ago, OpenR and Belkin started a joint company called Fin. And the unit that they're going to have in the auction is called Fin Plus. So this is, once it's installed in your home, it gives you the ability to monitor your water. So you can have daily reports saying how much water was used from the shower, how much water was used on your lawn, how much water was being used for the wash. It can tell you or detect whether or not there's a leak. So let's say there's a flapper on like the basement toilet that's been leaking, you'll be able to sense that immediately. Also, if there's ever an event where there's a breakage, I think some people have probably experienced that during this winter time where they have some bursted pipes. It'd give you the ability to get a signal and do the immediate shut off.
And you're part of the donation team too, right?
He is. Yes, thank you
Yes.
very much for
Yes.
pitching in as a new member.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions or any questions online?
So Dan, so you have a very technical job, right? And I want to know in your downtime, what do you do?
Okay, the question was, what do I do on my downtime? I enjoy photography, enjoy hiking, walking, biking. I'm a foodie, and so I love going out to different restaurants and wine tasting and beer tasting. So.
Do you still play the violin?
The question is, do I still play the violin? No, I sadly do not still play the violin. Probably a big disappointment, probably biggest to my mother. My mother was the one who encourages all of us to play an instrument. She didn't tell us what instrument. So the range went from my oldest brother playing the bass, my sister playing the cello, Paul and my sister played the flute, my brother played the clarinet, and I played the violin. I actually did quite well in it, so that's why I think my mother probably more disappointed. I was actually first chair in the orchestra, and then I was actually first chair in the all-city orchestra.
Wow. Who gave that up?
Well, I partly gave it up because when I went to junior high, they didn't have an orchestra. And then we didn't have money for me to have private lessons. And then high school, they had an orchestra, but it just started. So everyone was at the beginning level playing songs that I played in 3rd grade. And so, but the violin made good use. I actually sold it to my coworkers so her daughter in high school could have an instrument. So, but I do miss it. I do think what I do in my downtime, I think would I pick up the violin again? But thanks for asking.
Any other questions?
Excellent.
Thank you.
Dan's also a regular at 501s, so there's always an opportunity to get to know folks on more of a social regard. If we covered everything, Kathy?
Yeah.
Hey, we're getting out of here just a little bit early. Oh,
Master at Arms.
Oh, Master at Arms. He is here. Okay, Master at Arms.
Yeah, your tables.